Welcome to long-form content of Tech Bytes and News. This is a compilation on latest news and articles featured on Hacker News. You can find the original links of articles in the description. Please like and subscribe to support future content. Hope you enjoy.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving deep into ByteDance's impressive use of eBPF to supercharge their networking performance. It's a fantastic case study.
Absolutely. I'm buzzing to hear about this. ByteDance, with its massive scale, 1 million servers, containerized applications. That's a serious challenge for any network. What were their main hurdles?
Right. Their existing virtual Ethernet setup was hitting major bottlenecks. Soft interrupts were clogging the network stack, impacting throughput. Plus, stability at that scale is paramount, and their old solution just wasn't cutting it. And they couldn't easily upgrade their kernel to version 6.8, which would have been ideal.
So, a classic case of scaling pains. How did eBPF come to the rescue?
eBPF, allowed them to completely rethink their container networking. They adopted NetKit, this amazing eBPF-powered networking device. It's a game changer. NetKit offers vastly superior performance compared to traditional virtual Ethernet.
But they were on an older kernel version, right? How did they handle that?
Smartly. They backported NetKit to kernel version 5.15, ensuring compatibility with their existing infrastructure. It wasn't a rip and replace. It was a gradual rollout. They even ensured compatibility between NetKit and their old virtual Ethernet during the transition to avoid any major disruptions.
That's impressive planning. What were the results? Did they see significant improvements?
Oh, absolutely. They saw a 10% throughput increase by eliminating that last soft interrupt. CPU load issues and packet reordering, common problems with virtual Ethernet, vanished. They deployed NetKit across dozens of clusters with amazing success.
Wow, a 10% boost is substantial at that scale. What are their future plans?
They're looking at hardware offloading with eBPF for even greater performance. And they want to expand eBPF's use beyond networking into other areas of system optimization. It's a testament to eBPF's versatility.
This whole story is a fantastic example of how eBPF can solve real-world problems at massive scale. It's not just theoretical, it's delivering tangible results. I'm really impressed by ByteDance's approach.
Totally. It's a compelling case study showing the power of eBPF. And remember, you can check out their eBPF Summit talk for even more details. It's linked in the show notes. Thanks for joining us on Tech Bytes and News. We hope you enjoyed this deep dive into ByteDance's innovative use of eBPF. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving deep into why someone would still choose Sublime Text in 2025, a topic that sparked quite a bit of discussion. It's a fascinating look at a long-standing code editor that's still holding its own.
Right. I've seen the chatter online. So many modern IDEs are out there, packed with features. What makes Sublime still relevant? Is it just nostalgia?
Not at all. It's about speed, efficiency, and a surprisingly robust ecosystem. The author, a 15-year Sublime user, highlights its blazing fast performance. It starts instantly, handles large files without hiccups, and rarely crashes. A plus performance, as he puts it.
I see. Instant startup is a big deal, especially when you're juggling multiple projects. But speed alone isn't enough, right? What about features?
Exactly. Sublime's got some serious features. The Sublime LSP plugin brings modern code completion and hover info, rivaling versus code. And get this, it supports multiple LSP servers per file, configurable on a per-project basis.
Wow, that's impressive. So it's not just about speed, but also about adaptability and customization?
Precisely. The author also emphasizes the power of Sublime's snippet system. It's scope-based, allowing for highly targeted code generation. He even shows off some complex snippets with transformations, making code creation incredibly efficient. And the best part? These snippets are written in XML, not JSON.
Interesting. I'm more used to JSON. But XML for snippets? I'm curious to see how that works. What else makes Sublime stand out?
Well, the The project workspace functionality is another key point. It's built in, not a plugin, and lets you manage settings, build systems, and LSP configurations all within a single JSON file per project. It's a streamlined approach to project organization, unlike some IDEs that scatter settings across multiple files.
That sounds really convenient. So it's all about efficient workflow? What about build systems?
Yeah, Sublime's build systems are also quite flexible. They're simple JSON files, easily created and managed. You can even write them in Python for more complex tasks. The author provides examples using PNPM, MD format, and even a custom .env linter. It's a testament to the editor's extensibility.
So it's not just about the core features, but also the ease of extending them? What about the things that are just nice to have?
Right. He mentions multiple cursors, which are standard these days, but also macros, which are built in and can be saved to files. There's also built-in diff-hunk viewing and reversion, various case conversion options, and a distraction-free mode. It's the little things that add up to a polished experience.
It sounds like a well-rounded editor. But are there any downsides? The author mentions a wish list, right?
Yes, he does. He points out that the plugin development documentation could be better, and that the process of getting plugins onto the package control site is a bit cumbersome. He also suggests adding per-project key bindings. But overall, these are minor gripes compared to the editor's strengths.
So in conclusion, Sublime Text in 2025 isn't just a relic of the past. It's a fast, efficient, and highly customizable editor that still holds its own against modern competitors. It's a testament to good design and a dedicated community.
Exactly. It's a compelling alternative for those who value speed, simplicity, and a powerful yet streamlined workflow. Thanks for joining us on Tech Bytes and News. We hope you enjoyed this deep dive into the enduring appeal of Sublime Text. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving into Duck Hunter, a JavaScript remake of the classic game by JS Legend. It's a fun project, and the creator clearly put a lot of effort into it.
Absolutely. I've been following JS Legend's work for a while. This Duck Hunt clone uses the KAPLAY library, right? That's interesting. I'd love to hear more about the technical aspects.
Yeah, the KAPLAY library is the star of the show here. It's what allows for this smooth, responsive gameplay in the browser. The controls are simple. Mouse or thumbstick to aim, click or tap to shoot. Pretty straightforward, even for those unfamiliar with the original.
And it's only available on PC, at least for now. They've added a pause function using the P key, which is a nice touch for those who need a break from the intense duck hunting action. I see it's got a 4.5-star rating on itch.io based on 2 reviews. Not a huge sample size, but still impressive.
Exactly. A small but mighty sample size. The reviews are positive, though. One user, Specular Realms, even suggested some improvements. They loved the accuracy to the original, but thought the hyena laugh was a bit out of place. I can see that. Maybe a different sound effect would fit better.
That's a valid critique. Sometimes, even small details can make or break the immersion. And Specular Realms also suggested adding positional bonuses for headshots. A great idea to increase replayability and challenge. It's smart to consider such feedback, especially for a project like this.
Totally agree. It shows JS Legend is open to suggestions and actively improving the game. The creator also provides links to their YouTube channel and Substack for those wanting to learn JavaScript game development. A great resource for aspiring game developers.
That's fantastic. It's always great to see developers sharing their knowledge and helping others learn. This Duck Hunter game is a testament to the power of JavaScript and KAPLAY. It's a polished, fun game, and the fact that it's a free download makes it even better.
Indeed. It's a great example of a well-executed homage to a classic game. The simple controls, combined with the nostalgic gameplay, make it a very enjoyable experience. And the fact that it's built with JavaScript and KAPLAY makes it even more impressive. It's a project that's both fun to play and insightful to study.
I'm definitely going to check it out. Thanks for highlighting this. It's a great example of what can be achieved with readily available tools and a bit of creativity. It's a fun, simple game, but it's also a great learning resource for aspiring game developers.
You're very welcome. And that's all the time we have for today's Tech Bytes and News. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes in News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving into a fascinating piece from Res Obscura about the Sackler brothers' surprisingly early involvement with LSD research. It's a wild story, a real twist on their infamous legacy.
A wild twist indeed. I've always been captivated by the Sackler family's history, especially their role in the opioid crisis. But LSD? That's a completely unexpected angle. What's the core argument of this article?
Essentially, the article uses the Sacklers' early engagement with LSD research as a case study to illustrate how even well-intentioned, idealistic researchers can be swayed by the allure of power and profit. It's a cautionary tale, really. They were initially interested in finding new treatments for mental illness. A noble goal. But their involvement with LSD, and later their marketing of Valium and OxyContin, shows how that idealism can get distorted.
So they weren't directly involved in the development of LSD itself, right? It was more about their interest in its potential therapeutic applications?
Exactly. Raymond Sackler was present at one of the very first public presentations on LSD in the Western Hemisphere back in 1950. He and his brother, along with a collaborator, questioned the researcher, Dr. Max Rinkel, about the drug's effects. The article even includes a page from the Q&A transcript. It's incredible to see this historical record.
Wow, that's amazing. So what were their initial thoughts on LSD? Did they see it as a potential game changer?
Well, it seems they saw it as potentially fitting into their broader research on hormonal imbalances as the root cause of mental illness. They were already working with insulin therapy and other treatments, and they saw LSD's effects as possibly related to their existing theories. It's a fascinating connection.
Interesting. But their later actions with Valium and OxyContin paint a very different picture. It seems their initial idealism was overshadowed by the potential for profit. Wasn't there a quote from Ezra Klein that the author uses to support this point?
Absolutely. The author quotes Ezra Klein discussing the potential dangers of a financial land rush in the psychedelic therapy field. Klein highlights the low cost of producing psychedelics and the potential for exploitation, mirroring the Sacklers' trajectory. It's a chilling parallel, really.
It is. It's a sobering reminder that even in fields with the potential for immense good, the pursuit of profit can corrupt even the most well-intentioned efforts. The article also mentions the Sacklers' publication record on LSD in the late 1950s and early 1960s, right?
Yes, they did publish several studies on LSD. Their research ultimately supported their existing hypothesis about hormonal imbalances. But of course, that hypothesis turned out to be incorrect. It's a cautionary tale about the limitations of early research and the dangers of confirmation bias.
Right. The article really emphasizes the importance of considering the potential consequences of rapid publicity and financial incentives in any field, especially those involving powerful new technologies or treatments. It's a relevant point, given the current excitement surrounding AI and psychedelic therapies.
Precisely. The article ends by drawing a parallel between the Sacklers' story and the current landscape of AI research, highlighting the potential for similar pitfalls. It's a powerful message about the need for ethical considerations and responsible innovation. And that's a wrap for today's episode. Thanks for joining us on Tech Bytes and News. We hope you enjoyed this deep dive into a fascinating and cautionary tale.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving deep into KeyMapper, a seriously impressive cross-platform, context-aware key remapper. It's amazing.
Whoa, context-aware? That sounds powerful. What exactly does that mean in this context?
Exactly. It means you can remap keys differently depending on the application you're using, the window title, even the operating system. Think of it as having multiple custom keyboard layouts on the fly. Incredible, right?
I see. So instead of a global key remap, it's more granular? Like, I could map caps lock to backspace in my browser, but keep it as caps lock in my code editor?
Precisely. And it goes even further. You can use regular expressions for context matching, making it incredibly flexible. You can even use mouse buttons and the scroll wheel in your mappings.
Wow! That's a game changer for productivity. How does the configuration work? Is it complicated?
Not at all. It uses a simple configuration file, mostly lines like input greater than output. For example, caps lock greater than backspace would swap those two keys. Parentheses for simultaneous key presses, curly braces for holding one key while pressing another. It's very intuitive once you get the hang of it.
So it's basically a powerful scripting language for your keyboard? Neat. What about cross-platform compatibility? Does it work on Windows, Mac OS, and Linux?
Absolutely. That's one of its best features. You write your configuration once, and it works across all three major operating systems. Fantastic, isn't it? The only caveat is that some features, like device-specific context awareness on Windows, require a virtual device driver.
A virtual device driver? Oh, that sounds a bit more involved. Is it difficult to set up?
It's not overly complex, but it does add an extra step. The documentation mentions interception, but there's a known bug, so it's not recommended unless absolutely necessary. The good news is that most users won't need it.
Okay, good to know. So what about installation? Is it a straightforward process?
Pretty much. For Linux, there are pre-built packages and AUR support. On Mac OS, there's a homebrew formula. And for Windows, you can use Wing It or Chocolatey or download an installer. It's designed to be user-friendly.
This sounds incredibly useful for power users and developers. What about the community support? Is there a vibrant community around this project?
The GitHub repo shows a healthy level of activity, with regular updates and a responsive maintainer. There are also links to example configurations, which are incredibly helpful for getting started. Very impressive overall.
I'm definitely going to check this out. Thanks for highlighting Keymapper. It seems like a must-have tool for anyone who wants to customize their keyboard experience.
You're very welcome. And remember, you can find all the details, including installation instructions and a comprehensive guide to the configuration file, on the GitHub repository. And that's all the time we have for today's Tech Bytes and News. Thanks for listening, and have a great day. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving into a fascinating discovery about Otzi the Iceman and its implications for our understanding of Lyme disease. It's a real, thrilling story.
I'm all ears. Thousands of years old and suffering from Lyme disease? That's incredible. What's the gist?
Exactly. Otzi, a 4,000-year-old mummy found in the Alps, had Borrelia-like bacteria in his DNA. This is huge. Researchers found 2/3 of the Borrelia burgdorferi genome, the bacteria that causes Lyme disease, in his pelvic region.
So Lyme disease is much older than we thought? Wow, I always thought it was a relatively modern disease.
Precisely. The discovery pushes back the timeline of Lyme disease by thousands of years. It was originally identified in 1982 in Lyme, Connecticut, but Otzi's case shows it existed millennia earlier. It's a complete game changer for our understanding of the disease's history and evolution.
That's mind-blowing. But how did they even find this out? Analyzing ancient DNA must be incredibly complex.
It is. But advancements in genetic sequencing technology allowed researchers to analyze Otzi's DNA and identify the bacterial traces. It's a testament to the power of modern science. Amazing, right?
Absolutely. And what about the tattoos? The article mentions something about those being possibly related to therapeutic relief.
Yes. Otzi had numerous tattoos, many located around joints like his wrists and ankles. Researchers speculate that these tattoos might have been a form of ancient acupuncture, possibly used to alleviate pain, including the joint pain often associated with Lyme disease. It's fascinating to think about the potential connection.
It really is. It's almost like a glimpse into ancient medical practices. So what are the broader implications of this discovery, beyond just the age of Lyme disease?
Well, it opens up a whole new area of research. Understanding how Lyme disease evolved over millennia could help us develop better treatments and prevention strategies. It also highlights the importance of studying ancient remains to learn more about the history of diseases. It's a truly remarkable discovery.
I agree. It's a powerful example of how interdisciplinary research, combining archaeology, genetics, and medicine, can lead to groundbreaking insights. It's inspiring.
Absolutely. And it's a reminder that even something as seemingly modern as Lyme disease has a deep and ancient history. It's a humbling thought. Thanks for joining us today on Tech Bytes and News. We hope you enjoyed this deep dive into the fascinating world of Otzi the Iceman and his unexpected connection to Lyme disease. Until next time.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving into a seriously alarming situation: the apparent scrubbing of U.S. government open data from data.gov. It's a massive data purge, folks.
Whoa, that sounds intense. What exactly is being scrubbed, and why is this such a big deal? I'm all ears.
Essentially, a Reddit user noticed a significant drop in the number of datasets available on data.gov. We're talking thousands of datasets vanishing in a matter of days. This isn't just a minor glitch. It's a potential cover-up.
A cover-up? That's a strong accusation. What kind of data are we talking about? Climate data? That would be incredibly concerning.
Precisely. The Reddit post is in the r/climate subreddit, and the timing is incredibly suspicious. The user points out a massive drop around January 21st, with a continued decline since then. This is a huge red flag.
So the implication is that the government is actively hiding climate data? That's unbelievable. What's the response been like on Reddit?
The response has been, intense. Users are expressing outrage, speculating about the motives, and even discussing the possibility of archiving the missing data. There's a lot of talk about the Ministry of Truth and other dystopian parallels, which is pretty unsettling.
I see. And what about alternative sources? Are there other places people can go to access this information? Is there a backup?
Some users are suggesting eotarchive.org as a potential alternative, but it's unclear how comprehensive it is. Others are discussing the need for a dedicated website to track censored data. It's a real-time cat-and-mouse game.
It's incredibly frustrating that this is even happening. The public has a right to access this information. This isn't just about climate change. It's about transparency and accountability in government. It's a dangerous precedent.
Absolutely. And the fact that the Department of Energy seems to be disproportionately affected is even more worrying. One user pointed out a huge increase in data sets in early January, followed by a near-total retraction. This isn't just accidental. It's deliberate.
This is a huge story. It needs to be investigated thoroughly. The implications are far-reaching, impacting not only climate science but also public trust in government. This is a serious breach of the public trust.
Exactly. And the fact that this is happening so quickly, so efficiently, is even more alarming. It suggests a well-coordinated effort to suppress information. We need to stay vigilant and demand answers.
We certainly do. This is a call to action for everyone who values transparency and access to information. We need to hold those responsible accountable. This is unacceptable.
Thank you for joining us on Tech Bytes and News. We'll continue to follow this developing story and bring you updates as they emerge. Remember to stay informed, stay engaged, and demand transparency. Goodbye for now.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of the Cardin grill, a truly ingenious method of hidden communication. It's so much more than just a simple grid, you know?
Right. I've heard whispers of it, but I'm eager to hear the details. What exactly is a Cardin grill, and how does it work? I'm all ears.
Essentially, it's a perforated sheet, think paper or thin metal, with cut-out rectangular apertures. You place it on a sheet of paper, write your secret message within those openings, and then remove the grill. You then fill in the remaining spaces with seemingly innocuous text, creating a completely normal-looking letter. Clever, huh?
Brilliant. So the recipient needs an identical grill to decipher the message?
Precisely. And here's where it gets even more interesting. The grill can be rotated 4 ways: upright, reversed, and both face up and face down, multiplying the possible positions of the apertures. This makes it incredibly difficult for anyone without the key to crack the code.
That's a significant layer of security. But wasn't this invented way back when? I mean, how practical is it today?
It was first proposed by Girolamo Cardano in 1550, but its use extended well into the 17th century. While not as practical as modern encryption methods, its historical significance is undeniable. Think about it. It's a form of steganography, hiding the message itself, not just encrypting it. It's a beautiful example of combining cryptography and literary skill.
I see. So it's more of a literary curiosity now then? Aside from its historical value?
Exactly. It requires a certain level of literary skill to create a convincing cover message. The language can't be stilted or unnatural, otherwise it would give away the secret. Cardano even suggested drafting the text 3 times to refine it.
Wow, that's dedication. But what about its weaknesses? Surely there are some, right?
Oh, absolutely. The biggest weakness is the physical grill itself. Loss, theft, or seizure of the grill compromises the entire system. It's also a slow method, requiring considerable skill and time. And, of course, a poorly constructed cover message can easily reveal the hidden text.
So it's a high-risk, high-reward kind of thing. Intriguing. What about variations on the Cardano grill? Were there any?
Yes, there were variations, including single-letter grills and even turning grills based on a chessboard pattern. These were faster but less secure. The turning grill, in particular, reappeared in a more sophisticated form in the late 19th century, though by then, the connection to Cardano was largely nominal.
It's amazing how a simple concept like a perforated grid can lead to such a rich history and variety of applications. It's a testament to human ingenuity, really.
Absolutely. And that's what makes the Cardano grill so fascinating. It's a blend of history, cryptography, and literary artistry. A true hidden gem, if you will. Thanks for joining us on Tech Bytes and News. We hope you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of the Cardano grill. Until next time, goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today we're diving deep into SLAP and FLOP, 2 newly discovered vulnerabilities affecting Apple's M-series chips. It's a pretty wild ride, so buckle up.
Yeah, I've been reading about this. It sounds incredibly serious. So what exactly are SLAP and FLOP?
In short, they're side-channel attacks exploiting Apple's load address prediction, LAP, and load value prediction, LVP, mechanisms. These are performance optimizations, but they create vulnerabilities. SLAP leverages LAP to predict memory addresses, while FLOP uses LVP to predict data values. Both allow attackers to access data they shouldn't be able to see, even across different web pages.
So it's like the CPU is making guesses about what data it needs before it actually needs it, and that's being exploited? That's clever in a terrifying way.
Exactly, and the implications are huge. The researchers demonstrated this by extracting data from Proton Mail inboxes and even the first paragraphs of The Great Gatsby and Harry Potter, data that wasn't even directly accessed by the program. It's a sneaky way to get at sensitive information.
Wow. And what about the affected devices? Is my iPhone at risk?
Unfortunately, yes. The vulnerabilities affect a wide range of Apple devices, including Macs from 2022 onwards, iPads from September 2021, and iPhones from the same period. Basically anything with an M-series chip from that time frame is potentially vulnerable.
That's a massive number of devices. Is there a fix?
Apple is aware of the issue and is working on a patch. They've communicated that they plan to address this in an upcoming security update. The key takeaway here is to keep your software updated. Enable automatic updates immediately. That's crucial.
Automatic updates it is. But how does this compare to previous vulnerabilities like Spectre and Meltdown?
Spectre and Meltdown also exploited speculative execution, but SLAP and FLOP are different. Spectre and Meltdown focused on control flow prediction, while SLAP and FLOP target data flow prediction. It's a subtle difference, but it leads to different attack vectors. Both are serious, though. It's a whole new level of concern.
So these are new kinds of attacks, exploiting new weaknesses in the hardware? That's concerning. What about other CPU manufacturers?
The researchers haven't found evidence of these specific vulnerabilities in CPUs from other manufacturers like Intel or AMD, at least not yet. But the underlying principles of speculative execution are present in almost all modern CPUs, so it's not impossible that similar vulnerabilities exist elsewhere.
This is all pretty alarming. What can users do besides updating their software?
Well, besides keeping your software updated, being aware of the risks is important. Avoid accessing sensitive information on public Wi-Fi, use strong passwords, and be cautious about the websites you visit. It's a reminder that security is a multi-layered approach, and, stay informed about these kinds of vulnerabilities.
Definitely. Thanks for breaking this down for us. This is a critical issue, and it's good to have this information out there.
You're welcome. And remember, folks, stay safe out there and keep those updates enabled. Thanks for tuning in to Tech Bytes and News. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today we're diving into a fascinating piece on New Zealand's inventive spirit, often dubbed the number 8 wire tradition. It's a story of ingenuity, born from isolation and resourcefulness, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's amazing how a nation's geographical location can shape its culture of innovation. The article highlights how New Zealanders, due to their remoteness, have always had to find creative solutions to problems. This is a key point, right?
Precisely. The article traces this back to Maori ingenuity, mentioning their advanced skills in weaving, carving, and even building impressive fortified settlements, the pa. These were truly remarkable feats of engineering, even impressing early European visitors. Remember Richard Cruise's account of Titoro crafting a musket stock using fire and rudimentary tools? Incredible precision.
That's mind-blowing. And the article shows this wasn't just a historical phenomenon. New Zealand consistently ranked high in patent applications per capita, even in the early 20th century and beyond. This number 8 wire mentality, using readily available materials in creative ways, seems deeply ingrained in the culture.
Exactly. The number 8 wire is more than just a type of wire. It's a symbol of this resourceful approach. The article gives some great examples, like the chicken-powered streetlights in Nelson. Can you believe that? Such a simple yet effective solution.
Hilarious and brilliant. It perfectly encapsulates the spirit of resourceful innovation. But it's not just about quirky solutions. The article also highlights contributions from trained engineers and tradespeople. Cecil Wood building his own car around 1900, for instance, shows a different facet of this inventive tradition.
You're right, it's a blend of both formal and informal innovation. The thermet, a simple water boiler, is another example of a practical invention born from a plumber's ingenuity. And it's still in use today. That speaks volumes about its effectiveness.
And let's not forget the women inventors. Norma McCulloch's hand pump for freezer bags is a testament to the widespread nature of this inventive spirit. It's not just limited to a specific gender or profession. This is a really important point to emphasize.
Absolutely. It's a truly inclusive tradition. And then there's the story of David Strang and instant coffee. A completely forgotten invention until recently. Quite a remarkable rediscovery.
Amazing! And of course, we can't forget the bungee jump. Perhaps the most globally recognized New Zealand invention. Jay Hackett's daring jump from the Eiffel Tower really put it on the map.
A truly iconic invention, and a perfect example of how a simple idea, combined with a bit of daring, can become a global phenomenon. The article paints a compelling picture of New Zealand's inventive spirit, a legacy built on resourcefulness, ingenuity, and a touch of number 8 wire magic.
Indeed. It's a story of how necessity, coupled with a unique cultural mindset, can lead to remarkable innovations. A truly inspiring narrative.
Thanks for joining us on Tech Bytes and News. We hope you enjoyed this deep dive into New Zealand's inventive history. Until next time, goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving deep into the making of the iconic Gorillaz Clint Eastwood music video, a pivotal moment in animation history. Get ready for a fascinating journey.
I'm stoked. This sounds amazing. So what's the core takeaway from this article? Was it just about the video itself or something more?
It's much more than just a video breakdown, It's a story about Pete Candeland, the director, a relatively unsung hero in the animation world. The article explores his career, his influences, and how his unique approach shaped the Clint Eastwood video, which, incidentally, became a defining moment for Gorillaz and animation as a whole.
Interesting. So Candeland wasn't a household name before this article? That's surprising, given the impact of the video.
Exactly. The author, Sophie Kubler, stumbled upon him and was blown away by his story. It highlights how sometimes the people behind groundbreaking work remain relatively unknown. The article delves into his background, starting with his early days at Disney, his work in advertising, and his eventual collaboration with Jamie Hewlett and Damon Albarn.
So, the Cocoa Pops commercial was a big break for him? That's a pretty unexpected path to directing a Gorillaz video.
Absolutely. It showcased his innovative blend of 2D and CG animation, which caught Hewlett's eye. The article then meticulously dissects the Clint Eastwood video, step by step, revealing Candeland's creative process, his influences, like Natural Born Killers, Guy Ritchie, Tarantino, and even Thriller, and even some of the happy accidents that shaped the final product. It's a masterclass in animation.
Wait, happy accidents? Like what?
Well, for one, 2D ended up with 2 bags under his eyes due to a compositing error. They just kept it. But more importantly, the article shows how budget constraints actually forced Candeland to develop a unique style, using techniques from anime and manga to create a visually striking video without over-animating. It's a testament to his ingenuity.
That's incredible. So it wasn't just about the technology, but also about creative problem solving?
Precisely. The article emphasizes Candeland's live-action approach to animation, his meticulous editing process, and his constant experimentation with different techniques. He even used techniques from The Matrix in the video. He really pushed boundaries.
And the article also covers other animation news, right? A nice mix of global updates?
Yes, it includes a range of news from Japan, France, China, South Africa, and the US, covering everything from film releases and awards to museum exhibits and the passing of animation legend Jules Pfeiffer. It's a truly global perspective on the animation world.
Wow, that's a comprehensive piece. It seems like it's not just about the Clint Eastwood video, but also about the broader context of animation, its evolution, and the unsung heroes who shape it. A really insightful read.
Absolutely. It's a compelling narrative that combines a deep dive into a specific music video with a broader exploration of the animation industry. It's a must-listen for anyone interested in animation, music videos, or just great storytelling. Thanks for joining us on Tech Bytes and News. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving deep into Preserves, a fascinating new data language. It's designed to be a powerful alternative to formats like JSON and XML, offering a syntax-neutral data model with multiple serialization options. Think of it as a Swiss Army knife for data. Exciting, right?
Absolutely. I'm already intrigued. So what makes Preserves so special? Is it just another data format, or is there something truly innovative here?
That's the million-dollar question. The core innovation lies in its syntax-neutral data models. This means you can easily convert between different Preserve syntaxes, textual, binary, even a hybrid like syrup, without losing any information. It's like having a universal translator for your data.
Wow, that's impressive. So no more messy conversions between JSON and XML? No data loss during the process?
Precisely. The specification clearly defines the semantics and data model, ensuring perfect fidelity across all syntaxes. They've even got a canonical form for the binary syntax, which is a huge plus for interoperability. It's all about consistency and efficiency.
I see. But why would someone choose Preserves over established formats like JSON, which are already widely used and well understood?
That's a great point, and they actually address that on their website. They highlight Preserve's advantages in terms of schema validation and querying capabilities. Praise fine. Preserve Schema and Preserve's Path provide powerful tools for managing and manipulating data, something JSON lacks inherently. It's a more robust and feature-rich system.
Okay, I'm following. So it's not just about the serialization formats, it's about the whole ecosystem around data management. Are there many implementations available?
Oh yes, they have implementations in a wide range of languages. Python, Rust, JavaScript, even Nim and Racket. It's quite impressive. The community seems active too, with ongoing development and a detailed change history.
That's reassuring. It suggests a vibrant community and a commitment to long-term support. What about tooling? Is there anything to help developers get started?
Absolutely. They have a Preserves tool for syntax translation and pretty printing, plus tools for working with Preserve Schema. There's even a tutorial and a handy cheat sheet to help you get up to speed quickly. They've thought of everything.
This sounds incredibly promising. It seems like Preserves offers a compelling alternative to existing data formats, especially for projects requiring robust schema validation and efficient data manipulation.
Exactly. It's a well-thought-out system with a clear vision and a strong community backing it. While it might not replace JSON entirely, it certainly carves out a niche for itself in projects demanding more advanced features. It's definitely worth keeping an eye on.
I agree. Thanks for this insightful overview. It's clear that Preserves is a project worth exploring further.
My pleasure. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in to Tech Bytes and News. We hope you found this discussion on preserves as exciting as we did. Until next time, goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving into a fascinating case study of a sophisticated phishing attack. It's a real-world example of how attackers are evolving their tactics. Let's get started.
Absolutely. I'm eager to hear about this. From what I understand, this wasn't your average phishing attempt, right?
Right. This wasn't some random mass-sent email. This was targeted, alarmingly well-prepared. The attacker cleverly used a vaguely customized approach. The "from" header displayed U of TCS department, making it seem legitimate. But the email address itself was from a compromised account. Sneaky, huh?
Very sneaky. So how did they escalate the attack after initially compromising an account?
That's where it gets really interesting. See, they exploited a local VPN service. Now, this VPN uses a separate password from the main account password, and the VPN allows access to an internal SMTP gateway that doesn't require authentication. Clever.
Oh, wow. So they used the stolen password to gain VPN access?
Exactly. The attacker quickly registered the compromised account for the VPN, got the VPN password, and used that to send spam through our internal SMTP gateway. They were incredibly fast. It was all done in a very short time window, before the victim even changed their main password.
That's unnerving. It shows a level of pre-planning and knowledge of the system's vulnerabilities. Did they already know about the VPN access point before the initial phish?
That's what's so alarming. The log evidence suggests they initially tried authenticated SMTP, but failed because the password was changed. Then, they immediately switched to the VPN. It strongly suggests they knew about our VPN setup beforehand. They were prepared for contingencies.
Incredible. This highlights a critical vulnerability. It's not just about strong passwords. It's about understanding the interconnectedness of systems and potential attack vectors.
Precisely. We hadn't considered the possibility of phishers gaining VPN access before. We've always focused on webmail and authenticated SMTP. This changes everything. We need to rethink our security strategy. We need to consider other potential persistent access methods, like adding SSH keys.
Absolutely. This case study underscores the need for proactive security measures and regular security audits. It's not enough to just react to attacks. We need to anticipate them. This is a wake-up call for all of us.
Indeed. This attack was a masterclass in targeted phishing. The attacker's speed, preparation, and ability to adapt make this a significant learning experience. We need to be more vigilant and prepared for these kinds of sophisticated attacks. Thank you for joining us on Tech Bytes and News. We hope you found this discussion insightful. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating world of retro computing, specifically the restoration of a Commodore Amiga 1000, a machine many consider the first perfect computer. Get ready for a blast from the past.
I'm all ears. The Amiga 1000. Wasn't that before my time? What makes it so special?
Absolutely. It predates many of us, but its impact is undeniable. It's considered by many to be the first multimedia computer, a real game changer in the 16-bit era. Think of it as the granddaddy of modern multimedia PCs. The author of this article, you see, meticulously restored one, and the journey is incredible.
Wow, a restoration project. I'm intrigued. What kind of challenges did he face?
Oh, plenty. He started with a non-working unit, purchased untested from Germany. Imagine the suspense. The first hurdle was identifying the problem. It wouldn't boot. The screen remained stubbornly black.
A black screen of death. Classic retro computing woes. So what was the diagnosis?
Well, it wasn't a simple fix. He initially suspected faulty capacitors, a common issue with older electronics. He recapped the motherboard and power supply, a painstaking process involving desoldering and soldering new components. But even after that, the Amiga remained unresponsive.
So he went deeper?
Exactly. He started testing signals with an oscilloscope and multimeter, systematically checking power rails, clock signals, and more. He even swapped out chips from a donor Amiga 500. Still no luck. Then came the Pi-Storm.
Pi-Storm? Is that some kind of Raspberry Pi-based solution?
Yes, it's an ingenious open-source project that replaces the Amiga's CPU with a Raspberry Pi. It essentially emulates the original CPU, allowing the Amiga to boot and run software. It's a clever workaround. Using the Pi-Storm, the Amiga finally booted, revealing a loose CPU socket as the culprit.
Amazing! A simple loose socket? After all that work.
Precisely. A testament to the meticulous nature of troubleshooting. He replaced the socket, and the Amiga 1000 sprang back to life. But the story doesn't end there. He then upgraded it with a Parcero expansion board, adding features like an SD card reader and extra RAM.
So he essentially modernized a classic machine. That's impressive. What about the visuals? How did he handle the output?
Great question. Initially, he used a CRT monitor, but later upgraded to an RGB2 HDMI solution, a modern marvel that converts the Amiga's RGB signal to HDMI for use with modern displays. He even 3D printed a case for the upscaler. Talk about dedication.
This is incredible. It's a true love letter to retro computing. What are his future plans?
He's got a few more tricks up his sleeve. He's exploring options to upgrade the Amiga 1000's chip RAM, potentially using a Rejuvenator or GBA 1000 board. He's also looking into networking capabilities using a flip box. The possibilities are endless.
This is a fantastic story. It really highlights the passion and ingenuity of the retro computing community. Thanks for sharing.
My pleasure. It's a reminder that even seemingly obsolete technology can be brought back to life with dedication and a little bit of know-how. And that's all the time we have for today's Tech Bytes and News. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today we're diving into a fascinating post by Gary Newman, creator of Gary's Mod and Rust, about dead games. It's a really thought-provoking piece. He's basically asking, what happens to all the amazing assets, sounds, models, animations, created for games that ultimately fail to take off? They're just discarded, right?
Right. A total waste, it seems. He mentions the practical hurdles of simply open sourcing these assets, like licensing issues, storage, and bandwidth. But the core idea is compelling, a repository of reusable assets from defunct games. Imagine the possibilities.
Exactly. He suggests a simple solution. Developers of failed games email him their assets if they're willing to share. It's a brilliant grassroots approach, but it relies on individual initiative. It's not a scalable solution for the long term.
I see. Interesting. But the comments are equally interesting. One commenter, Louis, suggests a more formal, centralized open-source library for these assets, a KIME. A kind of asset graveyard for game development. That's a much more ambitious and potentially more impactful idea.
Absolutely. And it's not just about models and sounds. Louis also mentions the potential for open-source game engine templates. Think of it as a collaborative resource, where developers can learn from past mistakes and build upon existing work. It could significantly reduce development time and costs.
It's a win-win, really. Developers get to share their work, even if their original project failed, and other developers gain access to valuable resources. It's a bit like a Creative Commons for game development. But the logistical challenges of managing such a library are immense, right? Copyright, licensing, and attribution would be a nightmare.
You're right, that's a huge hurdle. It's a complex legal and technical problem. But the potential benefits are so significant that it's worth exploring. Another commenter, Colton, even suggests it as a new project. It's a fantastic idea for a startup, perhaps.
Absolutely. It could even become a sustainable business model, perhaps through a subscription service or donations. The community aspect is key. It's not just about the assets, it's about fostering collaboration and knowledge sharing. It's a powerful concept.
And the final comment I want to highlight is Christopher's. He's inspired to get back to work on his own projects, determined not to let his assets go to waste. That's the spirit of it all, isn't it? The post and the comments highlight a real need and a potential solution. It's a great discussion.
Indeed, it's a testament to the resilience and creativity of the game development community. A fantastic conversation starter for sure.
Thanks for joining us on Tech Bytes and News. We hope you enjoyed this discussion. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today we're diving into a seriously eyebrow-raising story from Tom's Hardware about Seagate hard drives in Germany. It seems some customers are getting a bit more than they bargained for. Used hard drives, sold as brand new.
Whoa, that's a big deal. Used drives sold as new? What's the scale of this problem? Is it just a few isolated incidents, or something more widespread?
Oh, it's way more widespread than you'd think. The German publication Heise.de reported that over 50 readers bought supposedly new Seagate drives, mostly 16 terabytes Exos models, only to discover they had already logged tens of thousands of hours of use. Some even had over 50,000 hours.
50 customers? That's a significant number. And tens of thousands of hours? That's years of use. This isn't just a few faulty drives. This sounds like a systematic issue. Were these drives purchased from a single retailer or multiple sources?
That's the really unsettling part. The drives were purchased from a dozen different retailers, some of which are even official Seagate partners. Amazon and Mindfactory were even named. It's not like this is some shady back-alley operation.
Incredible. So how did these used drives end up being sold as new? Is there any indication of how this happened? Was it a simple mix-up or something more sinister?
Well, Heise.de points out that the smart stats on all the drives had been reset, which is a pretty clear sign of someone trying to cover their tracks. It's not a simple mix-up. Seagate itself stated that the drives were OEM models, meaning they weren't intended for retail sale and didn't come with the standard 5-year warranty. But that doesn't explain how they ended up on shelves as new.
Right, the smart data reset is a huge red flag. It suggests deliberate deception. So what's Seagate's response to all this? Have they commented?
Not yet. Tom's Hardware reached out for comment but hasn't received a reply. The silence is deafening. It's interesting to note that Seagate does have a refurbished drive program, but that's only in the US. This situation seems to be entirely separate.
I see. This whole thing raises serious questions about supply chain management and quality control. It's a major blow to Seagate's reputation, especially considering the number of retailers involved. It's not just a few bad apples. It's a whole orchard gone rotten.
Exactly. And the potential for legal repercussions is huge. We're talking about consumer fraud on a potentially massive scale. This isn't just a technical issue. It's a serious ethical and legal one. I'm really curious to see how this unfolds.
Me too. This is a developing story, and we'll be sure to keep our listeners updated as more information comes to light. It's a cautionary tale for anyone buying hard drives, especially from less reputable sources. Always check those smart stats.
Absolutely. And remember, folks, always buy from reputable retailers. Thanks for tuning in to Tech Bytes and News. We'll catch you next time. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving deep into MCP Agent, a revolutionary framework for building AI agents. It's all about making agent development simpler and more efficient.
I'm really excited about this. So, what's the core idea behind MCP Agent? Is it just another AI framework?
Not at all. It's unique because it's built around the Model Context Protocol, or MCP. Think of MCP as a standardized way for AI assistants to interact with various software services. MCP Agent leverages this to create incredibly powerful and flexible agents.
Interesting. So how does it simplify agent development? What are the key features?
Well, it handles all the messy details of managing MCP server connections. It also implements all the patterns from Anthropic's Building Effective Agents paper. Things like parallel workflows, routers, and orchestrators, in a beautifully composable way. You can chain these patterns together to create complex agent behaviors.
So, composable means you can easily combine different workflow patterns? Like Lego blocks?
Exactly. And it even includes OpenAI's swarm pattern for multi-agent orchestration, but in a model-agnostic way. It's incredibly versatile. Plus, it's lightweight, more of an agent pattern library than a full-blown framework.
That sounds amazing. But what kind of applications can you build with it? Are we talking just theoretical stuff or real-world examples?
Oh, absolutely real world. They have examples integrating with Claude Desktop, Streamlit, and even Marimo. You can build things like Gmail agents that can read, write, and manage emails, or simple RAG chatbots using vector databases. There's even a multi-agent system for airline customer support.
Wow, that's a wide range of applications. So what are the core components of MCP Agent itself?
The core is the MCP app, which manages the app's configuration. Then there's the agent, which is the basic building block. It interacts with MCP servers and exposes their tools to an LLM. And finally, the augmented LLM, which is an LLM enhanced with tools from the MCP servers. Everything else builds on top of these.
I see. And these augmented LLMs are key to the composability, right? Because they're themselves workflows?
Precisely. Each workflow pattern, parallel, router, evaluator optimizer, orchestrator workers, swarm, is an augmented LLM. This allows for seamless chaining and nesting of workflows. It's incredibly elegant.
That's really clever. It seems like a lot of thought went into the design. But what about limitations? Are there any downsides?
Well, it's still early in development. The documentation could be more comprehensive, and some features, like durable execution and long-term memory, are still on the roadmap, but the core functionality is solid, and the community is actively contributing.
That's good to know. So what's next for MCP Agent? What are the developers planning?
They're focusing on durable execution using temporal, adding long-term memory support, and improving streaming capabilities. They also want to expand MCP capabilities beyond tool calls to include resources, prompts, and notifications. It's a very ambitious project with a bright future.
It certainly sounds like it. Thanks for the insightful overview. This is definitely a project to keep an eye on.
Absolutely. And that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for tuning in to Tech Bytes and News. Goodbye, and have a productive day.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today we're diving into a fascinating study published in JAMA Network Open regarding the impact of cannabis use on brain function in young adults. It's a pretty big deal, you know, the largest study of its kind so far.
Absolutely. I've been looking forward to discussing this. What were the key findings? Did they find a direct causal link between cannabis use and reduced brain function?
Well, not quite a direct causal link, it was a correlational study. But they found a significant association between both recent and heavy lifetime cannabis use and reduced brain activity during working memory tasks. Pretty interesting, huh?
Interesting indeed. So, it wasn't across-the-board cognitive impairment, just working memory?
Exactly. They tested 7 cognitive functions: emotion, reward, motor function, working memory, language, reasoning, and social information processing. But only working memory showed a statistically significant reduction in brain activity in cannabis users. They used a pretty rigorous statistical approach to minimize false positives, which is reassuring.
That's a crucial point. Minimizing false positives is vital in research like this. So, what specific brain regions were affected during the working memory tasks?
Primarily the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, dorsomedial prefrontal cortex, and anterior insula. These areas are crucial for higher-level cognitive functions, like planning, decision-making, and emotional regulation. It's not a simple picture, though.
I see. And what about the implications for heavy users versus those who used recently? Is it just a matter of abstaining before a test?
That's a nuanced point. For recent users, abstaining before a cognitively demanding task might improve performance. But for heavy users, it's more complicated. Abstinence can lead to withdrawal symptoms, which could also negatively impact performance. It's not a simple case of just stopping and being fine.
Right, the withdrawal aspect is a significant consideration. What are the limitations of this study that you mentioned?
Well, it was a cross-sectional study, so we can't definitively say cannabis causes the reduced brain activity. Also, the sample was predominantly young adults, so we can't generalize the findings to other age groups. They also lack data on things like THC potency and dosage, which would have been helpful.
So more research is needed then. What kind of future research would be most beneficial?
Definitely. Larger, long-term studies are needed to establish causality, track the duration of these effects, and examine the impact across different age groups. More detailed information on cannabis use patterns, including THC potency and CBD content, is also crucial. It's a complex issue.
Absolutely. It sounds like this study provides a valuable piece of the puzzle, but it also highlights the need for much more research. Thanks for breaking this down for us.
My pleasure. And that's all the time we have for today's Tech Bites and News. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bites and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving into a fascinating update from the Dart team regarding their decision to halt development on Dart macros and their future plans. It's a pretty big deal, so let's get right into it.
Absolutely. I've been following the Dart macro story for a while now, and this announcement is certainly unexpected. What's the core reason behind abandoning macro development?
Essentially, they hit a wall. Despite significant investment and overcoming numerous technical hurdles, new challenges kept emerging. They just weren't seeing a path to a high-quality, performant macro system anytime soon. The opportunity cost, the other features they could be developing, became too significant to ignore.
So it wasn't a failure of the idea, but a failure to meet their performance goals within a reasonable time frame? That's a crucial distinction.
Precisely. They aimed for deep semantic introspection at compile time, which, while powerful, introduced substantial compile time costs. This negatively impacted both editing features like static analysis and code completion, and, critically, incremental compilation, a cornerstone of Dart's hot reload.
Right, the hot reload is a killer feature for Dart's developer experience. Compromising that would be a major setback.
Exactly. They felt the current implementation regressed developer experience too much, and weren't confident in resolving these issues quickly. So, a tough but pragmatic decision was made.
So what's the plan now? Are they just abandoning metaprogramming altogether?
Oh no, not at all. They're shifting focus to other high-priority areas. One major focus is improving data handling in Dart, serialization and deserialization, which was actually the primary motivation behind the macro project in the first place.
I see. So they're tackling the problem directly rather than through the more complex macro approach. A more targeted solution?
Exactly. They'll use more bespoke language features. They're also investing in improving build times and the overall code generation experience. This includes improvements to build_runner and shipping a feature called augmentations, which was originally prototyped as part of the macro work, but now stands on its own.
That sounds promising. Augmentations. Is that a new way to extend the language without the complexity of macros?
Essentially, yes. It's a more focused approach to code generation improvements. They're confident they can ship this independently. They're also still interested in exploring general metaprogramming in the long term. But for now, macros are on the back burner.
It's a smart move, I think. Focusing on achievable goals and delivering tangible improvements to the developer experience is key. It's better to deliver smaller, impactful features than to chase a grand, ambitious project that might never materialize.
I completely agree. It shows a responsible approach to development, prioritizing what's feasible and beneficial for the community. They acknowledge the disappointment this might cause, but emphasize their commitment to improving Dart in other ways. And they thank the community for their contributions and feedback. A nice touch.
Absolutely. It's a mature and transparent response. This whole situation highlights the challenges of ambitious language features and the importance of pragmatic decision-making in software development. A valuable lesson for everyone.
Indeed. And that's all the time we have for today's Tech Bites and News. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time for another dose of tech news and insightful discussions. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today we're discussing some very unfortunate news regarding the Society for Technical Communication, or STC. It's a big deal, folks.
Yeah, I saw the announcement. Incredibly sad. So what's the gist? I mean, the STC has been around for ages, right?
Right. A long and storied history. But, unfortunately, they've announced they're dissolving the organization. They're filing for Chapter 7 bankruptcy.
Chapter 7? That's serious. What led to this? Falling membership?
Exactly. The announcement cites a combination of factors: significant financial liabilities and declining membership. They've tried cost-cutting measures and revenue generation, but it wasn't enough. Their debt and expenses simply outweighed their income.
Wow. So what does this mean for members? What about all their resources, publications, certifications?
Everything is ceasing operations immediately. Membership renewals, new applications, education programs, certifications, all gone. Even chapter and SIG activities are shut down. It's a complete closure.
That's devastating for the community. I mean, the STC was a huge part of the technical communication field. What about the website? Will there be any information there?
The website will be updated with further communications from the bankruptcy trustee, who will handle things like distributing any remaining assets and addressing outstanding debts. They're also collecting questions at info@stc.org to forward to the trustee.
So there's no hope of a turnaround or restructuring? It's a permanent closure?
That's what the announcement states. It's a permanent closure. The board approved the motion to file for Chapter 7, which is generally considered a liquidation process. It's a really sad day for the field.
It is. I'm curious, what are the implications for the future of technical communication? Will another organization step up to fill the void?
That's a great question, and one that will undoubtedly be debated in the coming weeks and months. The STC played a crucial role in setting standards, providing resources, and fostering community. Its absence will certainly be felt. Whether another organization can replicate its impact remains to be seen. It's a huge loss.
Absolutely. It's a sad day for the technical communication community. Thanks for breaking down this news for us.
You're welcome. It's a difficult story to share, but an important one. And that's all the time we have for today's Tech Bytes and News. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving into a fascinating study on the impact of iodized salt on American IQ. It's mind-blowing.
I'm all ears. I always wondered about the Flynn effect, that steady IQ rise throughout the 20th century. What's the connection?
Exactly. This research links a significant portion of that rise to something as simple as adding iodine to salt. It's a natural experiment on a massive scale.
A natural experiment? How does that work?
Well, iodization of salt started in 1924. Researchers compared the intelligence of recruits born before and after that date using military data. Clever, right?
Interesting. So they looked at Air Force versus ground forces assignments?
Precisely. Smarter recruits went to the Air Force. They didn't have access to the actual test scores, but this provided a proxy. They also factored in regional iodine levels, which varied across the U.S.
Wow, that's ingenious data analysis. What were the results?
In low iodine areas, men born after iodization were significantly more likely to be in the Air Force, indicating higher IQs. A 15-point jump on average.
15 points? That's huge.
It is. Nationwide, they estimated a 3.5-point IQ increase due to iodization. That's a substantial contribution to the Flynn effect.
So iodine deficiency is a major cause of preventable mental retardation globally? That's sobering.
Absolutely. It's estimated that nearly a third of the world's population has insufficient iodine. And it's not just developing countries. Europe has a significant problem too.
I see. But wasn't there a downside to this mass iodization?
Yes, there were some drawbacks. Sudden iodine supplementation in deficient populations can cause thyroid-related deaths. The study estimates around 10,000 deaths in the decades following 1924. A tragic but important trade-off to consider.
A difficult balance to strike, indeed. But the overall impact on cognitive function seems overwhelmingly positive.
Absolutely. The benefits far outweigh the risks, especially considering the near eradication of iodine deficiency and its associated problems. It's a powerful testament to the impact of public health initiatives.
It really highlights the importance of micronutrients in brain development. This study is a compelling argument for global iodization efforts.
Precisely. It's a remarkable story of how a simple addition to salt dramatically improved the cognitive abilities of a nation, and it offers a valuable lesson for the rest of the world. Thanks for joining us on Tech Bytes and News. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving into a seriously frustrating situation for Google Pixel 4a users. A recent battery update, intended to improve performance, has instead left many with significantly worse battery life, and there's no easy fix. It's a real mess.
Oh yeah, I saw that. I heard about this. It seems Google pulled the old firmware, right? So users are stuck with this buggy update? That's incredibly frustrating.
Exactly. The update, part of Google's Pixel 4, a battery performance program, was supposed to boost battery life. Instead, many users report drastically reduced battery life. Some seeing their phones drain from full to 2% in just 5 hours with minimal use. Unbelievable.
5 hours? That's practically unusable. And the fact that they removed the older firmware makes it even worse. It's like they're trapping users in a bad situation. I mean, what were they thinking?
Right? It's unusual for Google to remove older firmware. Android Authority even pointed this out, suggesting a serious underlying problem. It's not just a minor bug, it's a major issue affecting a significant number of users. It's a PR nightmare, really.
Totally. So what's Google doing to fix this? Are they just ignoring it?
No, they're acknowledging the problem and offering compensation. Users can get a free battery replacement, $50 cash, or a $100 credit towards a new Pixel. A bit of damage control, I suppose.
That's something, I guess. But it doesn't solve the immediate problem for those who are stuck with a nearly useless phone. A free battery is nice, but what about the inconvenience? The time wasted? It's not a perfect solution.
You're right. It's a temporary fix, not a permanent solution. The real issue is the poor quality control and the lack of a straightforward rollback option. This whole situation highlights the risks of mandatory updates, especially when they're not thoroughly tested.
Absolutely. It's a cautionary tale for both Google and other manufacturers. Thorough testing is crucial before pushing out updates, especially those that could potentially brick devices or severely impact functionality. This is a serious issue.
Indeed, this whole Pixel 4 debacle serves as a reminder of the importance of comprehensive testing and providing users with options, even if it means keeping older firmware available for a reasonable period. It's a lesson learned, hopefully.
Let's hope so. Thanks for breaking down this story for us. It's a pretty significant issue for Pixel 4's users. A real head-scratcher for Google.
My pleasure. And that's all the time we have for today's Tech Bytes and News. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time. Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to the daily roundup of Tech Bytes and News. See you again tomorrow. Goodbye.